In this video, we are learning lesson 6.6, solving systems of equations using subtraction. All right, so our objective here is I will solve systems of linear equations using subtraction. All right, there's certain reasons that you should use subtraction over substitution or addition or graphing. So when to use subtraction to solve a system of equations? Okay, remember, when you solve a system of equations, you need to find the value of both the variables in the linear system. And the way that you do that is you want to solve for one variable at a time. Get it down to one variable and one equation. So when you use subtraction is when the equations have a term that is the same. Okay, so go ahead and write that down. When the equations have a term that is the same, it could be the x terms, it could be the y terms. Okay, remember when we use addition to solve systems of linear equations, you want opposite terms. But when you use subtraction is when you have equations that have a term that is the same. So let's look at example number 1. Solve the following system of linear equations by using subtraction. We have 7x plus 2y equals 10. That's our first equation. And then 7x plus y equals negative 16. Okay, we're not going to use graphing to solve the system because neither of them are in y equals mx plus b. We're not going to use substitution because neither of the equations have an isolated variable. Both of the equations have both variables on the one side of the equation. And we're not going to use addition because the x terms aren't opposites and the y terms aren't opposites. But we are going to use subtraction because if you notice, they have a term that's the same. Okay, in this case, it's the x terms, so circle those. See how both of the x terms are 7x? Because they have the same term, if you were to subtract, put a big subtraction sign out front, if you were to subtract these two equations, you'd have 7x minus 7x. Your x terms cancel out. And remember, that's what we want to do. When we're solving a system, we want to cancel a variable out or get rid of a variable by doing something so that we're only working with one type of variable at a time and one equation at a time. So if we use subtraction, this is supposed to be a subtraction sign, sorry. 7x minus 7x, that cancels out. All right, then we're going to subtract the y terms. We have a positive 2y minus y. So if you have two y's and you subtract a y, you're left with one y. Bring down your equal sign. And then we have 10 minus a negative 16. 10 minus a negative 16. Well, let's write that down over here. 10 minus a negative 16. Wow, you could see that that's actually a double negative. So let's turn that into a positive, which means that 10 minus a negative 16 is actually 26. All right, now let's divide by 1 on both sides to cancel out the ones, and we're left with y equals 26. Okay, we're not finished solving the system of equations, though, because we only figured out that y equals 26. Now we have to figure out what x equals. So you could choose either equation to do that. I'm going to choose the first equation because there's no negatives involved in this equation. So let me recopy the first equation. 7x plus 2y equals 10. And remember, we just figured out that y equals 26, so we're plugging in 26 for y. That way we could solve for x. So we have 7x plus 2 times 26 equals 10. Right, we plugged in 26 for y. All right, so we have 7x plus 52 equals 10. Okay, let's subtract 52 from both sides. These cancel out. Let me get another piece of paper here. Sorry, guys. Oops. And that has a rip in it, but it's okay. So you subtract 52 from both sides, and you're left with 7x equals negative 42, because 10 minus 52 is negative 42. All right, then you divide both sides by 7 to get rid of the 7 with the x. Negative 42 divided by 7 is negative 6, so x equals negative 6. All right, so our ordered pair, the final solution, the point of intersection between these two equations, is if x is negative 6 and y is 26, the ordered pair is negative 6, comma, 26. Okay. Now, go ahead and try the Got It number 1 and then watch the video for that to make sure that you did that correctly.